stopping two straight potential closeout games to the Toronto Raptors. Former Sixers legend Allen Iverson says Philly needs, quote, one of those James Harden games in tonight's matchup. Okay, Doc Rivers, he's also answering some questions about his history of blown playoff leads. He gave excuses for his previous shortcomings while coaching the Magic and the Clippers. Shannon, prediction time. Do the Sixers finish it off tonight and avoid playing a Game 7 with the Raptors?
Skip, everybody's feeling the pressure. Doc could say, look, what happened in the past is in the past. That happened. Doc offered up explanation and made it worse. Because he said, you look at the team I had in Orlando. You tell me with that roster. Doc, that's the roster that you had. They got the 3-1 lead. So they were good enough to get a 3-1 lead, but not good enough to keep the 3-1 lead.
The more you talk, the worse it gets.
The more it got. Skip, he said, go back and look at the Clippers. We played the first two games without Chris Paul. You won those games, Doc. Come on, bro. He's like, well, you know, I lost. What about the one in the bubble?
I thought he did have an excuse there, and he took full blame for that one.
Yeah, that's what.
Because his team was just going mutiny on him.
And then last year, he said, well, I did last year would happen. So he's feeling the pressure because he's offering explanations. It's there. It's already documented. You can't offer no explanation. You can't explain your way out of that. It was 3-1 lead, and you lost it. And AI said, you know, on Game 6, we need one of those James Harden games, not the playoffs. You don't want one of those, AI. You want one of those regular season James Harden games. Because in the playoff, James Harden ain't nothing like what he's been in the regular season. And Skip, what makes this even worse for James Harden? What do you say? Philly was where I wanted to be all alone. I had to go and do a pit stop like Kawhi. Now, it didn't turn out as well as it did for Kawhi because he stopped off in Toronto, got a championship on his way out here to L.A. James Harden said, I wanted to be in Philly all along. Okay, there you go. You in Philly. You better deliver. He hasn't looked like James Harden. When he first got there, he looked really well. But for whatever reason, Skip, lately, like the last half of the last, 5 or 6, 7 games in the regular season and this postseason, James Harden is like a shell of himself. Like I said the other day, he's aging in dog years right before our eyes.
Right before your very eyes.
So, yeah, he's feeling the pressure, Skip, and I believe it's going to be a Game 7. No, I don't. You know what? I picked Philly in 6.
You did.
I'm going to ride with Philly. Joel Embiid, that thumb, Skip, is bothering him. It's bothering him.
It's on a shooting here.
Yeah, exactly.
Got a torn ligament that's going to have to be surgically repaired.
And he outweighs everybody about 50 to 80 pounds. What do you think I can do with a double team? I'm slapping down trying to get the ball out. I'm sorry if I hit the Joel. I know you got a torn ligament, bro. But, hey, you out here, and I'm trying to win this game. So slapping the ball out of your hand is a part of me helping me win the game. I just got to do this. I'm sorry. I would say, you know what? Doc going to come through one of those great coaching performances and going to pull it out.
Boy, I hope so for Doc.
Man, Skip,
I like him a lot.
Skip, this thing can't go back to Philly 3-3.
I just feel recipe for disaster. It's like the planets are aligning against Doc and the Sixers. It just feels like not meant to be. It feels like another lead blown, except this one was 3-0.
Yeah. And what the teams? The team was 143-0 in those situations.
The only X factor, the only slight advantage I give the Sixers tonight, it sounds like Fred VanVleet can't go.
And he couldn't go the other night.
Okay, I got you. But that was one of those where you just say, we got this, and you don't got this, because it's the wounded tiger theory where they're so wounded, they just come out and just stomp all over you from the start. And that game was never close. They just took it over from the start and kept taking it over.
Right.
So this one's back in Toronto. That coach over on the other side, he's pretty good because your Lakers have been very intrigued by, and I have no idea why he would leave Toronto for the Lakers. That's a whole nother issue for another day. But he can coach and he can motivate, and yet head of snake is actually VanVleet, who has a hip flexor issue that is really troubling him because he's listed as doubtful for tonight. So I'm going to assume he won't go Willis Reed and come walking out of the tunnel. I'm going to assume they will not have him, but they got a lot of other guys with a lot of firepower. It's a good defensive team that always has a good plan, and they bother Joel almost as much as his thumb is bothering him because they're all around him and they're slapping and they're grabbing and they're pushing and they're shoving, and they know how to play, and they play physical basketball. And Drake will be there leading the charge and the cheers tonight. So I got Toronto tonight. Again, Philly's favored by 1.5, so the pressure is on Doc. It's like, well, you guys are they were significant favorites in this series.
Absolutely. And even in the game, when they go back home, Skip, to close out, they're up 3-1. But Skip, this is how you know the pressure's on them. The Philadelphia Inquirer ran a story yesterday. Where would this collapse rank?
Already. Yep. They're already looking for trouble. Yep.
I guarantee you Doc read that story. I guarantee you some of the players looked at that story. It's on your resume, Doc. I mean, Skip, it can't be you can't have that kind of epic collapse.
Yep.
In Orlando, in the Clippers, in Philly, and not bear some culpability. If I'm not mistaken, Skip, it happened twice with the Clippers, with Chris Paul and with Kawhi and Paul George.
But Chris pulled his hamstring, as he was wont to do.
Yeah,
but it happened twice at the Clippers.
But Skip, the first 2 games, Chris Paul didn't even play, and you won those.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Doc has to bear some culpability. Trying to explain your way out of it seems as if you're offering up an excuse why you blew a 3-1 lead, and nobody cares about any excuses. All you have to do is win 1 game. The other team has to win 3 games.
Yep. Now back to the AI quote. I love Allen Iverson.
I love it.
And he has become, weirdly, an ambassador for Philadelphia basketball. But he's one of those ambassadors who doesn't watch that closely to me the rest of the league. So when he says, we need one of those James Harden games, to your point, that's in the distant past.
Right.
That's back in Houston when he used to get you 50.
Right.
And against my Spurs, he would just light them up. They couldn't stop him. I've never seen anything like it before as a perimeter scorer. He never really looked in shape, and so he got old before your very eyes, because once he hit 30 and 31, 32, because he's not in shape, he just fell into worse and worse shape, and now he really looks out of shape to me. And he looks old, and he looks a little slow compared to what he used to be in Houston.
You listen to Chris Paul talk about the way he eats in his 30s. He's like, I can't eat like I once could. I used to eat them beignets. I used to eat this. He says, now I'm more on a vegan diet. James Harden started to get age, and he's still doing the same habits as if he was in his 20s. He wants to jet set. He wants to party. He wants to eat whatever he wants to eat. Well, you're a professional athlete. You're only going to be able to put low-octane gas in a car, a Ferrari, so long before Skip it starts.
Correct.
And you don't get the performance out of it that you need. James, you're gonna have, bruh, you look in the mirror. You're not the same player. You're gonna have to change something. Lifestyle, eating habit, which is a part of a lifestyle. But you're gonna have to make some changes, James. It's as simple as that, bruh.
Yep, no doubt. So the irony of AI's statement is, he's exactly right. This is why you traded for James Harden.
Yeah.
This is what Daryl Morey thought. I need this firepower. I need this superstardom.
Guy that can go get buckets. Ben can't go get me no buckets.
This is the night that James Harden needs to return to being James Harden, and I don't trust it. But this is the night he needs to get you at least 30 with 10 assists. If he can do that, and he can get others involved, because they do have others. Tobias on any given night can. I know, but he's got star power in him occasionally.
Max is supplanting Tobias Harris as the 3rd best player on their team.
Yep.
And that shouldn't happen because Tobias Harris is on a max contract, and Max is on a rookie contract.
Okay, and your best younger defensive player can't play in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so recipe for disaster. Even though Van Vliet is the caveat, I just saw him, to your point, just dominate the game without Van Vliet, because they can all shoot it, and they're all kind of interchangeable parts. You know, they just got athletes everywhere, and they come at you in waves. And Trent Jr., he'll shoot it fearlessly. And so if they come out and step on throat early, I don't think Philly can win this game. You think Philly's going to stop it?
Yeah, right? I think Joel Embiid says enough is enough.
Okay, well, is he capable of doing that with the hand ligament?
Skip, he ain't got no choice. I mean, I don't know how that got out there. I would have never let that. Hey, look here. Only like 3 people in this room know this ligament's torn.
Yeah.
Don't mention
I think they volunteered.
Exactly. And so what?
Okay.
That's all they do. And they keep slapping at him, and he don't want to skip. I mean, when you know you got an injury, I'm not really trying to die for no football skill, but I got a partially separated shoulder.
And Doc said the other day there was a loose ball that Joel usually just scoops right up, and he said, I couldn't blame him. He didn't even try for it. Okay? That's a problem against this team in that building.
Because they realize they're fighting for their lives, so they're hitting the floor for those loose balls. Joel would be like, maybe the next one.
Yep. Toronto's going to win this game tonight. It's going 7 back in Philly. And you know, and I know, the Philly crowd is the quickest to turn on any home team in sports. They will turn quickly, and they will boo you out of your own building.
I'm just going to trust Joe. You told me Joel Embiid is the best big in basketball. You said he's better than Yoke. Well, prove it.
Okay, I'll buy that, except he's got a torn ligament in his shooting thumb.
Well, what I've seen the last couple of games, Toronto's been tearing his butt up.
Yep.
That's what I saw.
Okay, here we go.
That Philly home crowd would boo Santa Claus if they had the chance and be proud of it.
They did it.
All right, gentlemen, I can't wait for this next topic. Y'all get ready. Who likes attention more, LeBron or Tom Brady?
Oh, man.
We've got a new tweet that just might settle it. Coming up next.
No mercy, no